All right, moving on here to the second segment of Locked On UCLA. We're talking more Madden and Nico. All right, and from what I've read from ESPN, from a CBS Sports article earlier in the morning, it looks like the drama in the saga is still unfolding. While it might not affect UCLA specifically, the way the deals unfolded, how these players left, what they could have done with the NIL is going to be a lot to deal with for some of these players like Nico and Madden off the field. Something that might be intriguing towards Madden Iamaleava is something that was written about in the CBS Sports article I was reading from this morning. Brandon Marcello, how he left Madden right after Nico committed to UCLA. That's the idea. Go to the portal, commit to the Bruins, still working through all those. And then the Arkansas athletic director, Hunter Yurachek, if I'm saying the name correctly there, all of a sudden is like, hey, by the way, we're going to try and make sure that the buyout clauses in these NIL deals are becoming more of a threat, more important to these players leaving. Because you see all these guys sign mega deals, quote unquote, in the NIL saga, right? There's so many players who are making so much more money than they're actually worth, in my opinion. At any sport, some of the best players are commanding big NIL deals, and they're making more than what you would make as a rookie in the NFL or close to it. And you're in college as an 18, 19-year-old, or in some cases, maybe even a 17-year-old. You've got to maintain regular appearances, regular, signees, whatever it costs, whatever it takes. And I was reading on ESPN another article written by Chris Lowe that there's still maybe another opportunity for Nico at Tennessee with more appearances, more obligations, to increase his NIL opportunities for even more money. And they turned it down. Nico turned it down, according to what Chris Lowe was writing in this ESPN article. So the thing is, and the debate of, will Nico stay more than a year? What is Madden? What's the QB situation looking like? That's why I'm hesitant to say Nico is going to stay more than a year. In this article by Chris Lowe talking about the months-long breakup between the Iamaleavas, Nico, and Tennessee, there was Tennessee sources written about in this article about get through 2025 and Nico is gone to the NFL or to the portal, because he was basically gone after this last year at Tennessee, he was almost maybe gone in the winter, most likely gone after this year. And what's to guarantee that as talented as the kid is, he's going to stay? Well, I think DeShaun Foster says, we're going to gamble. We're going to risk it. He says, I want the smoke. Not verbatim, but with his article, with his words, talking to the media, we want it. It's a clear upgrade over Joey Aguilar, who was by no means bad under Tino Sinceri in those limited opportunities working during spring practice. But Nico represented an upgrade with the talent, the physicality, the local nature of the recruitment to UCLA, and ability of sorts for DeShaun Foster to build a quarterback succession from Nico to Madden and maintain UCLA stability at quarterback for 1 to 2, maybe 3 years at possible, maximum 4 to 5 in these next few seasons as the Bruins continue to chart on, uneasy waters in the Big Ten, that they barely stayed afloat in year one. They impressed more than some might have after we saw them play in week one, but it's one thing to stay afloat. It's another thing to compete and dominate like Oregon and Michigan and Ohio State year after year. And that's what DeShaun went after with Nico Iamaleava. The thing I'm talking about with Madden, though, is Arkansas Edge was the deal he signed, the collective signed with Arkansas. Madden, who you remember committed to UCLA, flipped at the last moment. I remember talking to a source of sorts about how there's clearly some backroom deals, some behind the room negotiating. Even with Madden committed to UCLA, they were looking, Madden's camp, for deals even after they'd already committed to UCLA. And according to the CBS Sports article by Brad Marcello, it was a $500,000 freshman deal of sorts signed at Arkansas for a year. And while you can hit to the portal, the problem is if you don't fulfill all your obligations, fulfill all the signatures, appearances, whatever it comes through with an NIL deal for a guy of that stature, 4-star freshman quarterback coming in, who might not even play, which is crazy that you can command a $500,000 deal as a youngster that may or may not play. comes in, and after his family visits him in Arkansas, sees his brother go to UCLA, tells the staff he's homesick, and then Arkansas's own AD says, hey, buyout clause. You had 8 months remaining in your contract. You might have to pay up to half that money back, 6 figures worth, back to the Arkansas collectives. Maybe Tennessee might do the same thing, and this is where this thing is slowly building into the future of NIL contracts, where these quarterbacks, or not just quarterbacks, these players might be bound to 2 seasons at their respective universities instead of just endless free agency. The entertainment is always there with the portal, but practicality is not. The academics is not. The idea of a student athlete is dead. And until we really move things forward, whether we get to a 5-year opportunity for athletes, which it seems like we might be going to that, we're going to start seeing these continual buyouts enforced by the collectives. And I'm wondering if UCLA might have to do the same thing with the Iamaleavas if they pull something after this season, during this season, if they're not happy with UCLA. Now the kids are, especially Nico, confirmed, and he's at UCLA. He's still finishing things up at Tennessee academically before he heads into UCLA to prepare for the upcoming season. But Madden, this is a unique situation where, depending on how much they might have to pay back to Arkansas or Tennessee, and this is more focused on Madden right now, how much is that going to affect UCLA and what they have to give these players, these guys, their representatives, and what they're going to be commanding with NIL asks from UCLA? Because they're going to have to pay back these teams. And how much will that shortchange the Bruins in the future when they're going after top recruits? The Iamaleavas have continually said, hey, it was because of the offensive line, the lack of receivers at Tennessee for Nico. Well, if the Bruins are going to be stuck having to pay, quote unquote, for them leaving Arkansas, them leaving Tennessee, where is that going to hurt them in the future, where they can't go win a recruiting battle for a local receiver in the portal or go win one for a youngster right in their own backyard in the recruiting hotbed of Southern California? So that's something to look forward to. Now, it's not guaranteed, but how are the schools and the players both honoring NIL contracts? And that might change between direct revenue sharing, the idea of 2-year contracts, maybe 3-year contracts, and how can you escape a deal like some of these players are attempting or trying to do, take all the money and run into the portal for a new opportunity or searching for more money? Will that hurt UCLA in the long run? I'm not sure. But when we maybe deal with this situation, whether it's Nico, whether it's Madden, or somebody in the future, how much are these schools going to be like, hey, we want at least some of the money back because you didn't fulfill all your obligations? And how much are the NIL deals going to be bigger just because the players have to offset what they're paying the university back from what they did not do when they transferred away and not fulfilling their NIL deals? It's a fascinating topic. Could be over our heads and when we just want to talk football, but it is something to look out for in the future, maybe the near future, with the House versus the NCAA settlements. Meanwhile, the Bruins are just trying to say, hey, we got our quarterback. We swung for the fences for a top-tier quarterback, Big Kai in the pocket, who is going to run with Tino Sinceri and make this team a legitimate, fun team to watch. And hopefully we can get to that right now. We're waiting for Nico to officially get his way to UCLA, finish things up at Tennessee, and then we can get ready to rock and roll. Speaking of rocking and rolling, UCLA women's basketball, if you look at the early top 25, they have also plummeted, if you will, not to the number one spot, but further down. What does that mean? We'll talk about it next on Locked On UCLA.